Following is a repeat show that was previously broadcast on Unity FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Parenting Hour. You're tuned into Unity FM 93.5 here in Birmingham on a lovely, nice evening this evening. MashaAllah. It's such a nice to see the sun and no rain today. And also welcome to our Luton listeners and our listeners down south that are tuned in on Inspire 105.1 and all the other channels that you're tuned in on that are taken from there. Thank you so much. It's wonderful being here with you this evening. It is really, really wonderful after a few days of not being quite myself, not being feeling so well, being back actually, and thanking Allah, alhamdulillah, that I'm able to be here with you again and do a show and appreciating life. And we all need to kind of take a breath at times and remind ourselves and just think, how life passes so quickly and we don't often appreciate it, and it's very often the small little things that can happen that can change our little weak bodies to not be able to do things like what we normally do. So I am very grateful, alhamdulillah, that I am here, that I have had a great day, that I'm fit and healthy, thank God for everything, and that I have a wonderful guest that I want to introduce to you also, who is sitting right opposite me, who is going to bring such life to this evening's show, all the way from London, which is wonderful. Welcome, Carly. Welcome to Unity FM.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you very much. Really glad to be here tonight.
So are we really glad indeed to have you here and to talk about what you're doing, talk about Best Beginnings, because that's who you work for, and the Baby Buddy app that they have produced.
Yes.
Which is really exciting. I know we've spoke about before here on Unity FM, and we've had great responses before.
Wonderful.
But we've never done a live show, so this is wonderful that you're here in the studio doing a live show, allowing people to ring us, interact with us, get involved in the conversation.
That's right, yeah.
Maybe download the app and have a wander around and then phone about it, whether they think it's a good idea or not a good idea, or what they like about it or what they don't like about it. So really involved in the discussion this evening, so that's really good.
Wonderful.
And listeners, if you want to do this, and I know you probably know the number already, but just in case you don't, it's 0121 772 8892. That's 0121 772 8892. The other thing we're doing this evening, and we're just going to be tweeting it out and linking it into Unity FM, hashtagging it in as well, and all that terminology that they use now with Twitter, etc., is sending it out on all the social medias, a picture of our latest baby buddy friend.
That's right. She is the buddy. She is the baby buddy.
She is.
Yeah.
She literally is. She's a mummy buddy.
She's a mummy buddy. Yeah. But the idea of the baby buddy, as in your virtual friend, this is the depiction of her.
Yes.
But this lovely lady has a hijab on.
Has a hijab. She does. And we've been sending out pictures of her today.
Yeah.
And we'll continue sending out pictures. And it would be great if our listeners could access some of those pictures and phone us up and maybe give her name, because we were discussing names today for her, weren't we? And what would be the best name for her?
Yeah, any kind of name that has a meaning and around parenthood or around spiritual guidance from the Quran would be very appreciated. So do let us know your ideas.
Great, listeners. So there's a challenge for you this evening indeed. Do you want to be the one that is going to name our wonderful baby buddy companion? Yeah, brilliant listeners. So how exciting it is here. That's as exciting as we get here in Unity FM, but it's good. It's good. It's a good quiz. We don't have a prize, but it might be your own name actually that you want to choose that has special meaning, and then you'll always be remembered every time you'll see her that I actually chose that name, and it's the name that I have myself. So do join in, listeners, with us, and do take part in this and help us out in our quest, please. So Carly, tell us a little bit about Best Beginnings, because I know it very well, and some
you
of
do. Yes, you do know it very well. You've been a long-term partner, supporter, advocate. We really appreciate. all the time and energy that you've given to us. This is just going to be a love fest, isn't it, me and you, Kathleen? Yeah. So Best Beginnings were established just over 10 years ago. It was founded by a lady called Alison Baum, and what she recognised is that when she had her 2 babies and there were some complications, there wasn't evidenced information around in one spot which she could access, and she recognised it as a woman with agency and power. If she was finding it difficult to access the evidence information, imagine how other parents must feel who are not in her position. So that led to creating lots of the suites of video films that we have, including the Out of the Blue perinatal mental health films. We've got the Small Wonders films, which went out to all of the neonatal units, and then the From Bump to Breastfeeding films. And so we built up this real foundation of evidence, resources, focusing on the peer-to-peer voice of parents through film. So I know that you didn't do a lot of work around peer empowerment, but you didn't. Lots of people don't recognise that you can also do that through film. So the films that we've created, of which there's 308 of them in the Baby Body app, they focus on this peer-to-peer voice. So what you'll have is parents explaining their situation, the challenge that they faced, and then what they did to overcome. There is something very powerful about seeing a parent who doesn't look perfect and doesn't have perfect makeup and is sitting in a house that looks normal, talking about how they overcame their issues. So there's power in that voice. Anyway, I digress. So the Out of the Blue series of films, the perinatal mental health ones, they were launched as part of the Heads Together campaign with the Royals. So that gave us a lot of exposure around those films. And we know we're one of the few pregnancy resources in the guise of an app that offers a suite of films specifically around perinatal mental health. So some of the films look at elements like how I joined a group to overcome my depression. What is postpartum psychosis? What is postnatal depression? What kind of symptoms you might face, and then who you need to go and talk to about that. And all being very reassuring. Because the statistics say that it's 1 in 5 women who will experience perinatal mental health issue, and 1 in 10 dads. But that is a vast underreporting, we feel.
Yeah.
So
it's probably a lot when you think of women and this and the whole spectrum of mental health. It probably is even much higher than that.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That you're talking about probably 15-20% even of women, because the stigma around that in our community is really so high. It's really hard. We've had now a few events over the last few weeks celebrating mental health in itself, and which is really been good, the amount of people that have come to it, but the message is still coming through that we need to talk more about this. We need these events on when we can bring our husbands to it. We need these events on when we can have childcare, because other people don't know about it still. We need to do much more to get these messages out there. You're finding the same?
Yes, I think there's cultural specificities around the perinatal mental health and mental health in general. I say that as a black woman who is very aware of this, the strong black woman archetype, and definitely from engagement work that we've done, it's come through very clear that often mental ill health is seen as a private matter, not something to be disclosed in the public space, and it's almost like a luxury for someone to experience and struggle with a mental health issue, because you really just got to be getting on with it. That's not to say that I'm generalizing everybody. I'm just talking about some of the stigmas that might prevent people going to get the help that they need. And that's the worry for me, is if you're facing some of these barriers seeking help, or even some of those internal thought barriers you might have about how you might be judged, or other fears that you've got, that will stop you getting the help that you need, and then you'll end up struggling more, which makes me feel sad.
And I do think we are trying to talk about this a little bit more, but still there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of women probably this evening tuning in that are going through their own issues, that are wondering, is it, am I just feeling a little bit low? People put it off and say that I'm sensitive, I'm making it up. What would you say to them?
I would say that you know yourself. So you know if you're not feeling like your normal self or not.
Yeah.
I would say that if you're in your pregnancy journey or just had a baby, please look at the free resources within Baby Buddy. They are there to help you. It is free for you to download and look at. They identify postnatal depression as much like depression. It's for sad feelings and not having the energy to be able to do the things that you would normally get enjoyment for, but it's about how long it lasts. So there's plenty out there around baby blues that you'll experience that for a little while, a few days, but it's when you find it really hard to have energy and get the enjoyment from the things that you used to. And then anxiety is around worrying, isn't it? So a certain amount of worrying is natural, but when it gets to the point where it's affecting your life and you're finding it hard to manage and cope with normal things, that might be the chance to go and speak to somebody else. What I would say is I speak to you as someone who lives with mental health issues themselves, so I say this from experience, that it's been it's taken a long time to have the self-awareness, because we also self-stigmatize. I've heard it from plenty of people I know about how, there's plenty of other people in much worse situations than me. Why do I feel low now? I shouldn't be feeling low. I've got nothing to be feeling bad about. I'm not in so-and-so's position who's in temporary housing, So there's that kind of comparison. Mental ill health doesn't work like that. So it doesn't, you don't have less, you're not more or less likely to have it just because your life situation is better or worse than others, but there are definitely lots of factors that will influence, like if you're struggling for money, if you're experiencing something like domestic violence, anything like that, they're going to have an impact on your mental health. We were having conversations today about how much many of the women that we know are impacted by, the hidden work of women. So the childcare often that lots of women bear the brunt of, looking after an aging parents can be another element, and I hear it a lot from workers and from women that I know about how much they put everybody else before themselves. That will have a direct impact on how mentally well you feel or not. So the key messages are that this is a very, very common thing. You're not alone, and go and talk to somebody you trust. GPs and other healthcare professionals are there to be able to support you, as well as midwives and health visitors. But you might want to just start by talking to someone that you trust, and just name it. When you name it, it's out in the world, and hopefully it will give you a better chance to contemplate what to do next to help yourself.
Wonderful, which is probably why we're here talking about the Baby Buddy app as well, because it's not just mental health that it deals with. It actually gives a lot of names to other things and allows you to ask questions or answer questions in the whole app.
It does. It's an incredible app. You need to look at it as a one-stop shop for all sorts of features that can support you. So you can do things like put your next appointment in there to go and see your midwife. You can set a reminder the day before, because you might be at a time in your pregnancy where you're getting a bit forgetful at that point, and then it will set the reminder for you. Our parents love what they call today's information, so that is a little tidbit of info every day, and once you've registered, that runs from conception until 6 months postnatally, and parents say they find that extremely useful because they don't have time to look through all of the app's resources, and that's just a particular subject at the right point at the right time. So it might bring up, when you've had the baby, that there is no good or bad baby depending on how much babies sleep. All babies are different, because this comparison can really get on top of parents. The idea that someone else has a good baby and you don't have one. But really, there's other elements like Ask Me. You can ask it questions and then it will pull up all content in the app around that particular subject area. There are over 300 videos in the app. Over 30 of them are just on breastfeeding and infant feeding. You can learn about what's safe in terms of exercising during pregnancy, what healthy eating looks like, and all done on an app at whatever time you want. So imagine if you were a mum who was pregnant and you're a bit worried about something and you wake up in the morning and nobody's there but you're worried, you could ask the app at that time. It's there for you.
And that's
anytime.
what usually happens, isn't it? Actually, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is asleep and you're there and your mind is wandering and something has woken you up and you just can't get back to sleep again, and this is on your mind, and just to be able to go to something, ask it, have the right answer, the right information, and think, okay, now I can go back to sleep again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the thing you have to bear in mind with the app as well is we made a point of keeping it free for any users. The app was created to give every child the best start in life, and it means it was underpinned by behavioural change theory. So you've got things like goal trackers on there, but there's also this element of really understanding how to nurture and support parents, because what we appreciate is if you give information and increase confidence of parents, they will make better informed decisions about how to bring up their children. We're really waking up now to lots of evidence that says that the way to support better life chances and fulfilling the potential of future generations is if you enhance the capacity of parents to be able to parent to the best of their ability and lean on that. So the app was created to reach those groups most at risk of poor outcomes. That sounds all very fancy, but what it basically means is our particular groups, like people who speak English as a second language, black, Asian, minority, ethnic groups, young parents, those not in education, employment and training. It was geared towards those groups because they experience more inequalities in the health system, and so we're trying to redress some of that. Every child deserves to reach their full potential when they get older, and every parent in their heart wants to really offer that, but might not be able to do that. So the app goes some way to bridging that gap and providing information in a way that people can access it.
Which, you're talking about power there, but knowledge is power. And if you were pregnant, I'm just thinking of a scenario, a woman waking up in the middle of the night or having heartburn or having maybe reduced movement, but worried to even bring it up in discussions because, maybe I'll be a bit silly or maybe this is not quite right, and then looks up in the app, no, this is important that you flag up this, and this is important to say this. So she feels more empowered then to say, okay, I can go and ask about this because this not happened, or maybe some veins popping up or some pain in her legs or something that maybe would have been, some friend would have said, that's normal, that comes with pregnancy. But when you look it up and think, no, that is something that you need to go and ask, you need to tell somebody about.
That's right.
It empowers her to do that.
That's right. So it is also a tool to deepen the relationship between the parent and the professional, because what we don't want is pregnant women and anybody in the health system to become this sort of passive recipient of care. The NHS is not coping with that current paradigm. What we need to look at instead is, how do we engage and bring something to this scenario so that we can get the best care for ourselves. That's who we want to be. We want to have agency. We want to work well with our healthcare professionals to get the help that we need. But that first point is about knowing a bit more and that keeping in touch with your body. You are the expert with your body, and if you can feel if something, the gut test, feel that something's going wrong.
So the app is broken down to different stages then? So you have the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester.
So it doesn't break down so much like that. You have bump body, which is the avatar that you have for the pregnancy side, and then you have baby body once you've had the baby. But there's the cute little things that you can do within it, like you give yourself a name, so the avatar has a name, and then you can put once you've had your baby's name, and then it will refer to your baby by name, and you yourself by name. So it's very personalized. What we can tell from our data is that the app is reaching the people most in need, because it is used more by our communities of colour, and also by those with ESOL speakers as well. They use it more. And that just makes us feel really good, because it means it's being used by the people who need it.
Because maybe that connection, because when I saw it first and had it downloaded a while ago, and now, and the fact that you're able to put a hijab on yourself and put that colour, what colour skin are you, what colour eyes.
Exactly.
So you're really personalising this, and most people that I've said this to actually do an image of themselves.
Do they?
They don't tend to do like, if you're an Asian, for example, go and make it to a black woman, or vice versa. I don't know, in your experience, do they do this vice versa?
People normally pick ones to look like themselves.
They look like themselves, so it really feels that it's your friend, it's your buddy here, that you're able to talk to, and it resembles you as well. So it is. You're giving it more than a personality, really.
Yeah, you can identify with it. You can also have if you're a white woman who's got a mixed race baby, you can have a mixed race baby, which I just love that. I mean, how much times have changed from 10 or 15 years ago, when mixed race didn't even have a box on some of the forms we had to fill out. And now you can pick images that look like yourself in that way. It's wonderful.
Which is wonderful. So recently we went to a parenting course, and we were getting people to mums and dads to download it and to really identify, and they were engaging with it. They really liked it, because the information in there, as you say, it's free, it's recognised by the NHS,
it's NHS accredited. That's right.
Which is a big thing, because I know there's other free apps out there as
there are, but the other free apps do not have the level of offers that are within Baby Buddy. So I would say, as a parent, you need to find, or a soon-to-be parent, you need to find the right app that's going to work for you. I know that there are the other Bounty ones and others, but when we've looked at engagement levels, Baby Buddy is up there. And you just have to look at how it's going to make your life easier. Like, if you are forgetful, to put reminders on there, and then look at today's info and look at videos when you need them. So what evidence have we got that it's even effective? I said to you that the reach and the impact is higher for the communities of colour and, those other groups at risk of poor outcomes. In addition, we've seen that we just had a study come out called Bubbles, and it basically has said that parents were 9% more likely to breastfeed as a result of using the Baby Buddy app. The reason for that is because having videos of people breastfeeding normalises breastfeeding, which we don't really have. Breastfeeding rates are dropping across the country, and I think part of that is sort of the shame agenda around, and the idea of women's bodies not being their own, and us not seeing enough women just breastfeeding a lot. I think we can learn a lot here from communities of colour. Tower Hamlets, 8 out of 10 mums breastfeed. So if you look at the demographics there, we need to be leaning on communities who are doing it well.
Doing it. And of course, it's an Islamic trait already to breastfeed. It is something that is recommended up to 2 years for mums, and it's really important, really a great stable foundation for children. We've talked before a lot about breastfeeding also here on the programme, the importance of it for immunity, for even ease travel when you're traveling with your baby, you can go anywhere. It's so easy just to do that anywhere, anytime, really. It's sterile. All the benefits are there. That's kind of the physical benefits. What about the emotional benefits and the looking at the baby and talking to the baby when you're doing it, and the contact you're having and the closeness to the baby?
That's right. I mean,
and the rewards, of course, from a religious perspective also.
Definitely, but the only thing I would say is that doesn't mean that if you haven't been able to breastfeed, that doesn't mean that you're not attaching to your baby. You can still have lovely bonding time with your baby when you feed. Look into your baby's eyes. All of these kind of things, you can find them on videos on the Baby Buddy app. I know we keep talking about it, but if you know someone who's a new parent and struggling, get them on it. It's free, and if they don't like it, they can take it off and uninstall. But it's a free resource made for people
and
like
phone
us
in and let us know if you've downloaded it. We're coming up to a half-time break now in a few seconds. Time goes by quickly here. So listeners, if you're tuned in and if you're safe and able to, do ring 0121 772 8892. If you've downloaded the app, we don't need to know your name. We just want to say yes and maybe a postcode, which would help us if you're able to do that, so that we can keep an account of all of this, what the downloads are here in Birmingham, and we see, can we download as many apps this evening as possible of this radio show? Yeah, there's a challenge. Yes, indeed. Okay, listeners, do tune to us after this commercial break and keep safe over the commercial break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Following is a repeat show that was previously broadcast on Unity FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Parenting Hour. You're tuned in to Unity FM 93.5 here in Birmingham and 105.1 in Luton down south, and all the other stations that may be tuned in also. We're having a very lovely, lively discussion this evening here about our Baby Buddy app, which is our buddy, our own personal buddy apps, actually, like a friendly buddy to us.
That's right, it is a friendly buddy. It even knows your name. Once you register, it knows your name as well.
Yeah, which is really wonderful. And we're introducing it to you here this evening. We're hoping to involve some of you in the discussion. We haven't had any phone calls in yet. We've had a very quiet evening this evening. I wonder who would be our first caller. Be nice if somebody called in right now. And the number is 0121 772 8892. If you've never heard of Baby Buddies before, you just go on your phone, on your
Google Play or App Store, and then look up Baby Buddy and you will see it come up.
And it's a lovely green.
Yeah, dark green colour.
With some nice, lovely, friendly, smiley faces of different people of different ethnic backgrounds in the picture.
That's right.
But then when you log into it, you can actually personalise.
That's right. You can choose your Baby Buddy.
Yeah. So I had this one downloaded on my phone. We're looking at one at the moment downloaded on my phone, listeners. And this was probably about 2 years ago now. And I had went through the pregnancy, and I had all the reminders that was coming to me during the pregnancy time, and it was very interesting, really nice to see it and to see questions being posed and the reminders in there for me. And you can go into all those videos, as you mentioned, so many, 300 videos.
Yeah, over 300 videos are in there. So it's there's so much evidenced information there. But it's not just, Baby Buddy is our main product, but we're actually just really committed to trying to support parents and professionals, and then use what we are learning to influence policy and practice on the ground. That brings me to how we've connected more recently. Is Approachable Parents have become partners with us on a project called the Parent Leaders Project, and it's been really interesting because we were doing some community engagement work in Birmingham through Sandra Griffiths from Red Earth Collective previously, with the aim to come back and work with yourselves, because you're just such a gem. It's so, we often speak about how much in society sometimes we focus on the problem, whereas this is about trying to work on the solutions now, isn't it?
Exactly.
So we're very excited that you are a partner on Parent Leaders Project. Parent Leaders Project is an extension of what we've learned from some of our pilots around training community champions in Baby Buddy. So what we've done is we created Baby Buddy, and then we created what we call an embedding program, where you integrate the resources of Baby Buddy into local care pathways. And what that means is you look at the videos, you look at the content, you get leaflets, you get stickers, you get QR codes, and you go, okay, how can we bring these into the way that local services and local settings are running to make the most of them? So think, you can put a code or a leaflet in with someone's booking letter. You could give someone a sticker on their red book. You could promote breastfeeding videos in antenatal classes. So there's so many different ways you can use the resources. And what we found as a result of doing some of that pilot work was that actually training on the Baby Buddy app works really well with community leaders. Why? Because we trust people who give us information. We trust our family and friends. And so if they're one of the ones to say, I used this and it was really good, you'll listen to what they've got to say, sometimes more than with a midwife or a healthcare professional as a starting point. That trust element is there.
Yeah, because, sometimes it's that passed out information that somebody already, so you've built up that relationship with them, and you trust, if it is a member of the family, you're going to trust them like the way we trust usually our mums what they say, so it is that trust element comes into it, and whereas a midwife, you might be meeting different midwives maybe, and you haven't built up a relationship with that one midwife as yet, although we are trying to do that.
We're working towards continuity of care. That means continuity of care means that you have the same midwife or health visitor for as much of your maternity journey as possible. Why? Because the benefits are endless. It's safer, you have a better relationship, you have more trust, you feel more empowered in the process. There's lots of evidence behind this. But back to parent leaders. Well, what is this whole thing about? So what we recognised was we needed to find a way to support parents to be able to use Baby Buddy to help with increasing confidence and giving that information. So one of the key targets in the Parent Leaders Project is to gift it to 7,000 parents across Birmingham and Newham. Why Birmingham and Newham? Because they're the boroughs that are most at risk of poor outcomes. Why? Because of poverty and because of institutional racism and not necessarily having chances and many, many things. So we wanted to go to the areas where it would be best, most useful, I guess. So we have to reach lots of parents, and then we're training, the aim is to train 150 community champions. We've trained about 50 or 60 now of those. We've got 3 children's centre partners in Newham, and then Approachable Parents in Birmingham, which is absolutely wonderful. We admire the work of Approachable Parents. I think helping parents to realise that there's lots that they can do to influence their relationship and the behaviour of their child is just it can be revolutionary thinking, this way of thinking about things. Very empowering. So we're delighted that you're on board, and we want to see where these relationships go. What we recognise is the end result of parent leaders is actually that we want to train 10 to 15 parent leaders more extensively, with the idea that they will provide representation in local and national platforms so that our communities can speak for ourselves. And talk about the issues and suggest solutions and be strategic. There is a gap. The BAME experience is often missing from the national narrative. People's starting point is not often us. And that has to change, because if you ultimately want to reduce the more extreme inequalities, you have to start with the people most in need then. And you can't do that unless you know what the problems are. are. The only way you're going to know what the problems are is if you've got representation around the table to tell you. So, it's solutions focused, but it's also about exploring what genuine partnership looks like. And so it's combining the digital technology of Baby Buddy with community development principles, and there's some magic going on in that. I'm loving this work. I'm loving this project, really.
Well, we are just honoured that you brought it to Birmingham in the first place, because most of our parents, we're based in Birmingham, and so a lot of our parents are from here, and we see the need here. We see that parents wanting to be better parents, wanting to have that knowledge and guidance, wanting that support, and it's like wanting somewhere to access this. I don't know how Birmingham was chosen over Manchester or some of the other cities, and good London is mentioned as well. London usually does come first, and Newham is an area that is needed as well. But we're very honoured to have that here in Birmingham, that you brought it to a community, a wonderful group of people here of broad diversities. Here in Birmingham, we have so many diversities, and we really want them to be able to engage and get the best out of this, and put Birmingham on the map as a place that can be better, and we can do better in understanding our pregnancies and knowing our children, and help to develop and grow those children to become young adults, where this app is getting that foundation right, where if you're talking about physically helping in their needs, or emotionally or socially, or the benefits are coming through this app of what to do to get that connection right from the start that underpins the rest of their life.
That's right. So things like, it might feel weird to sing to your baby, but if you sing to your baby when you're pregnant, your baby will come out knowing your voice. And if you sing a particular lullaby, that lullaby will soothe them once they've been born, because they recognise it. So I just think that's so beautiful. I just think it's really beautiful. But it might feel weird to do some of the things, but the evidence is behind it about how secure attachment is formed by, the bonding with baby, the playing with baby, the looking in eyes, the quiet time, than trying to understand their needs. So it's a free resource. Why would you not use it?
Exactly. I know we've talked a lot about bonding attachment on the show, but we can't stress enough how this underpins so much when the child starts school, when the child starts making friends, when the child starts falling out with friends. All their interactions with the others goes back to this period of time when they start growing up and going for jobs, etc. It all interplays with this amount of time, what's going on at this age. And then if we look also at the brain development and those neurons connecting together, how this makes a difference, and how the brains... I see somebody in the studio, and I'm wondering, does he want to come in and join our conversation? So that I know he's coming to the next show, but as a dad, he might have a few minutes to come and join our conversation. Indeed, I don't know, he mightn't have time. I was going back to the neurons again, how the neurons develop and connect together, and that brain connection, that brain development, that actually... our parents want for our children. Our parents really want our children to do well, but don't know how to do it. So all of these things that are in the app that are underpinning this, along with the worries, because some mums may be worried about things that really don't want to say it. I've heartburn, but I was told that's a common thing, so I don't want to talk about that, or don't want to say this, or when in the morning when I wake up I get this bad taste, or this happens to me. All these little questions you can ask.
Excuse me.
No, you're okay. And ask, and you'll get answers in the app.
That's right, you will, yeah.
Yeah, and a good way of keeping things in place, and reminders in there, and reminders of what you need to do and how you need to go about it. So I think we should all, mums and dads should be all downloading this, because dads need to know about this as well. They need to know how mums are feeling, what questions to ask, what are the answers there, how things are going. Really important that dads get involved in the conversations as well, and understand the importance of helping and supporting mum during pregnancy. And actually grandparents too are really important in helping their children,
hugely,
to know
hugely.
what's happening.
Yeah, hugely. I mean, they say, they have the phrase, it takes a village to
raise a child. Yeah.
So I think it's for everybody to explore what their responsibility might be towards a child, and also how they nurture and help other new parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say this to you as someone who isn't a parent, and I've had that brought up as a barrier to understanding, but I have plenty of people close to me to know and to see, how difficult it is, especially when babies are born in circumstances that people wouldn't have predicted. Like they might not be in stable accommodation and they had planned to be, or something like that. Can really impact on how pleasurable the experience is, because you're worried sick about money, or about you don't feel safe where you live, or those things must be extremely worrying.
And we have a lot of our communities that have come from war-torn areas, and really hardship there, and some have managed to make it here, some are pregnant, and it's often maybe in those pregnancies, even though they may have come from abroad many years before, that things come back to the highlight again, come back to the front, because I'm going to be responsible for this new baby. So then start thinking of things where I was, or other things that they need that support.
That's right. It can, many things can come up. Our key messages are not to suffer on your own. To remember that there's lots of people around who do care. You might see some of them, you might not see them, but there is a thriving community of healthcare professionals in Birmingham who are really trying to offer more standardised support around mental health services and other services. Trauma is a huge thing, and trauma can have an impact. It can stay in your body long after you've experienced it. So it can be very difficult. And also sometimes when you've had your children, what can happen is you can end up feeling almost re-traumatised, because if something traumatic happened to you when you were a certain age, when your child gets to that age, it can almost come back. I don't know whether you've ever done any work like that with people from your counselling side.
We haven't, nor I haven't personally, and I try actually not to do so much counselling now, because I really don't have the time for it.
I'm not surprised.
Yes, because counselling itself you have to really have that time and dedication, and we have some really good counsellors on board that are trainers, male and females actually, and we prefer to refer them onto that, but it does take that time. And yes, I have come across this where those cases do happen and be reverted back to that situation again, and that needs support, that needs proper support.
Yeah, definitely.
And this what I love about what we're doing here together as different organisations is we are working with professionals, working with organisations. It's not trying to say this is better than this. No, we need everybody. We need all those midwives, the health visitors, the doctors, the professionals. We need everybody involved, as well as the organisations, the third sector organisations on the ground that are working with the community, as well as our volunteers that engage with parents. We need all to come together. Everybody has a piece of that mosaic.
They do. I completely agree with you. And so for those people out there who might be worried about a new mum, what we find is probably most helpful is to ask them how they're feeling, without any judgment about how they're necessarily feeling or what they should be feeling. No, how is it actually going? And then just trying to relate to that experience, really, so that person feels like they've got a safe space to share. So it's it's for all of us to remember that, and just remember as well, we're not in a structured society that really puts a spotlight on parents, despite the fact that most people end up being parents. Because that time during maternity, it's not like there's always even lifts on the underground, or, you know, the kind of the parental experience is not always thought about, but it's one that nearly everybody experiences. So
yeah. It's true, and actually if it's not your first baby, you're probably parenting other children, running around after children, taking them to school, making them breakfast, cleaning, washing, doing everything.
Yeah, very, very busy. I remember one of my friends telling me about how it was when she went from 2 kids to 3 kids. She just said they all run in different directions. And she said, I just can't cope. It's like, it's too much.
It is really hard. It is hard, and who is there to be able to help us and support us if we don't come together and rely on each other?
I think it is about networks. I think it is about being able to ask for help. I know it's really hard, not just physical help, of practical help of, oh, someone hold him, you know, whilst I go to the shop to go and get something I need for dinner, but, you know, just someone who understands you and loves you, you know. It can be really hard, but we salute you. We think parents are very brave for what they have to go through and balance. And just come and get involved.
Come and ring in this evening, and we want just one brave parent to ring in and give a name to our app. So if you've gone on Instagram today, or gone on Twitter today, or gone on Facebook today, or LinkedIn, you will have seen the pictures on that. We've been talking about Baby Body all day. We've been sending out pictures. Now it's your opportunity, parents, to ring 0121 772 8892 and choose a name for this lovely person that is often sitting in my seat in the office, especially when I'm not there. Is a new manager there, and always with a smiling face. But there's probably a special and a lovely name that we can give her, rather than trying to say, who is this person? So we really want to name her.
Yes, definitely.
So who's going to be the first parent to ring in this evening and give a name like this, and talk to us about that name? If you can, we're tuned in and waiting. Indeed, we've only got another 6 or 7 minutes left on the show, so time is running quickly. Do pick up the phone and get involved in the conversation. Maybe they're all too busy driving home.
Maybe people are. What I would say is, one task that people could do is keep your eyes out in some of the antenatal settings for Baby Buddy leaflets or posters that might be around for you to have a look at, and just go and check it. You know, go and check on our website. Go and have a look at what we've been doing. See if it's something you want to support.
Because now, of course, there's much more because of this partnership here and what you're doing and bringing it to Birmingham. It's going to be hopefully on the screens and more awareness.
We're hoping it's more present. Yeah, yes. we're hoping you'll see it as more present. Our approach is to encourage as many women during the antenatal period to download. Why? Because it gives you access to information for a longer amount of time, and we find that parents slowly get addicted. The more they watch, the more addicted they the more they use it, the more addicted they become. So, you know, you've got lots of reasons to be able to download and engage. You know, but if it's not for you, then think about who you might know, who you can recommend it to. You know, sometimes I have people come and go, well, my mate's just having a baby. Okay, well, tell your mate about it. Or not me, but I've just got a great nephew that's been born. Okay, well, go and tell their parents then. They might need a bit of support.
We didn't speak about languages.
So the Baby Buddy app is not in any other languages other than English. I hear you cry, but why? That's not very equitable. No, actually, we made a decision to have a position where we kept it in English, but made sure that it had a reading age of 11. We're the only pregnancy app to have that. Why? Because lots of people have a basic level of English, but want to learn more, and we have seen it work very successfully in ESOL groups, that they would almost use the app as a learning tool. It's got audio speak on it, it's got subtitles on it, and a lot of, it's based on video content mainly. So you've got a lot of videos where you can watch, where you can get a sense, and just looking, even if your level of English was very low, we know from the data that the app being in English is not a barrier to people using it, because people who've registered with English as a second language actually are using it much more than their
so it's not been a
white
barrier.
counterparts.
Wonderful.
There hasn't been a barrier, no.
Wonderful.
So it's worth people going to check out, see what they think.
Great, yeah, it is, and it's really important for people to do that and have a look at it and download it and let us know what it is you think of it. So we want to know what's going on. We want to see you on the show. We're just looking at some pictures today that was taken with the app.
Oh,
today.
nice.
Yes, really nice in the office indeed. When we're just waiting for that first person to ring in to name the our lovely lady here who's always smiling. Yes, she is. She's so happy and always smiling indeed, and she looks very proud of her hand on her bump.
Yes.
And very calm, and which is a nice message to get out there, to be calm, to look after ourselves, because that's also part of the relaxation.
That's right. It's part of the whole. So when they look at mental health, they also look at well-being, and so there's lots of things that you can do to protect having good mental health as well. Self-care, you probably heard people banging on about self-care a lot, but actually it's really important. And what is self-care? Self-care is doing things for yourself that makes you feel good. That can be going for a walk or reading a book. It can be watching your favourite programme. It can be having a bath. But it's not something that you have to do. So ladies, it's not necessarily doing chores. It's doing something for yourself that you want to do. And we get a lot of well-being feelings as a result of those experiences.
Which is, when you think of it, we all need that sometimes. We all need to be conscious and aware, and I often say God conscious of our body, because our body has a responsibility, a right over us. So a right over us to be able to relax physically wise, a right over us that we're able to relax and switch off, a right over us, and we're into the last minute of the show already, but our listeners know this, and we don't often do that. We don't often think of it, and I think what's lovely in this app, it gives you an opportunity to think about that and think about the rights you have over yourself, because your child have rights over you, and your child, when you're pregnant, takes all that from you naturally, because that's what babies do when they're pregnant. So it's an opportunity to look after yourself. So in the last few seconds, is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners before we go off air this evening?
Just love and respect. If there are any parents out there who are struggling, I send lots of love and support your way, and I hope you get what you need to feel better. But yeah, thank you so much for inviting us on, and check out the app.
Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
I hope
you.
Baby Buddies will be a success, and listeners, do tune in to us again next week, inshallah. We look forward to hearing from you.